Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Family Campfire. Tonight we have the great honor and privilege of having as our guest on here Dr. John Mainiero, uh, the stealth doctor, the one, the only, the great John Mainiero. Um, we have as our panel tonight will be me, Mr. Tar Heel Diggin, and Sandy of Sandy's Passions. Sandy, as usual, is going to be the external moderator. If anybody gets out of line out in the external, she will be more than happy to give them the big old boot. Um, it's just real simple rules. No cussing. No bashing on anybody or any groups. Um, let's just have a good time. Keep it family friendly, and we'll go from there. Dr. Mainiero, I want to give you the floor for a bit, let you talk about anything you want to talk about, and bring up some stuff, and then I'll hand it over to Tar Heel to start the questions.
Okay. Some of you guys know me. Some of you seen me on some of the videos that I posted over the last year. I'm a chiropractor, live in New Jersey. I like metal detecting. I like water detecting, farm fields, woods. I started when I was about 11 years old, and I got my first Radio Shack detector. And I stopped for many years, and then about 20 years ago I picked it up again and started digging, and I got hooked, and I enjoy it to this day. And I've been getting my boys involved. I have a 6 and an 8-year-old sons, and they both have the passion to dig, and they found some nice stuff along the way. And I'm trying to get them interested in a couple other things with the water digging and uh, bottles, not so much, but we like to dig mostly fields and woods and exploring old cellar holes. So that's pretty much what we do. Um, I have some products that you've probably seen on some of the websites. My Mind FX product, it's uh, taken off over the last few years, and see you guys using it out there. A lot of you were involved in my video contests, which are a lot of fun to have. It gets, it gets out there. I give away a lot of stuff, and I want people to see what it's like. So, if you like the product or you want to try the product, you can always get with my website and look at the specials I have. Sometimes I'll even send you a free packet if I have any samples, free loose ones going. Um, that's about it. I don't do too much other than work and get out and dig and hang out with the family. Your mic is muted, Utah.
I hate it when that happens. Tar Heel, did you want to go ahead and start asking your questions, and we'll go from there?
Sure, I got a few questions for you, John. By the way, it's nice to meet you, John. I've seen a few of your videos, and watching some of your videos, it makes me hungry to get out and hunt those fields again because it looks like you guys do pretty well in those fields up there in Jersey. Um, I wanted to ask you kind of how you got started in the whole metal detecting. I know you said you were pretty young with that Radio Shack detector, but when did you start getting real serious about it?
I borrowed a detector that my brother had. It was a White's. He bought it from my dad many years ago. He said, "Oh, it's an expensive detector," and I didn't know too much about the new detectors because it had a lot of buttons and it had no screen, so it made a lot of noises, and I didn't know how to read or understand them. So I'm out there with the White's. I guess it was an MXT. Does that sound right? Coinmaster, something like that.
Yep.
I thought it was neat, but I really didn't get too far with it. And then my brother wanted it back, so he didn't use it. So I got kind of discouraged, and I got my first one, which was the Prism 5, and it's got the little screen with the little icons on it. So then I started hitting some good things out in the field, and I started digging a few buttons and things I didn't know what they were until I started getting involved on the the websites here, which has really made my learning curve go through the roof, because I think I threw away a lot of stuff that was good, thinking it was junk, not knowing. I mean, now that I see what I've thrown away, I can kick myself. But that's where I started, and where I've been over the last few years has been doing a lot of research with you guys. I mean, I learned from the pictures, I learned from the videos. I do a lot of research on my fields and my properties through historic aerials. Google Earth is good too, but I still like the historic aerials because of the overlays. And I've upgraded after finding a lot of stuff on the beach. So, you know, it just makes it easier when you find stuff that's valuable and keepable, and you just want to get back out there and do it again. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
I hear you. I hear you. I know you hunt a lot of times in the fields, those old farm fields out there, and you hunt around those farms and whatnot. When you get to a new permission like that, and you get to a great big wide open farm field, what is your plan of attack? I know a lot of guys like to just run out in the middle and just kind of wander around, but what is your game plan when you get to a new field that you've never hunted before?
I'm pretty spastic. I get out there and I just throw the quill to the ground and right out of the truck, and I start moving slow, and I wait for a couple signals. And you know, sometimes I'll walk laterally because I keep hearing in my head, you know, go where the drag and drop zones are. So I do that first 6 to 8 feet at the beginning of the field where they turn. And then sometimes you pick up a lot of can swall and you get discouraged and you're saying, I'm tired of digging can. So then I'll go straight out, and then I'll hit a row, and then I'll get my groove, and then you'll dig a button, and then you'll dig a piece of foil, and then you'll dig a can real deep because you think it's something good, and then you pull that out, and then next thing you know, you got an Indian head. So that's pretty much how I go. And then if I come back the next few days, you know, you'll get a day where you get nothing, and then the following day, it's just like, why did all this stuff just pop up all of a sudden? So I really kind of just go with the flow when I get out there and see where it takes me.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Yeah, I know there's a lot of good treasure in some of that trash out there. Those old farmhounds are pretty well known for trash and a lot of stuff in the ground out there. So you probably dig a lot of holes when you're out there.
I dig everything that beeps.
Hey, one thing I learned when I was watching your videos the other day is I know you're a chiropractor by trade, and you threw a little tip out there to those who wear boots, the lace, you know, with the laces that come all the way up. Can you give us that tip and let us know what that is? Because I learned something that day that I watched that video.
Yeah, I injured my back many years ago. I have a herniated disc, and I don't bend too well, and some days better than others. But when I'm wearing my boots out in the field, I tend to only lace it up 3/4 of the way, so I can have more ankle bend. Because if you lace those boots up high, you're going to bend more at the back than you are at the ankles. They always say bend your knees. I don't bend that much. I just lean over and, you know, grab whatever's in the hole. But when I do that, I can actually get down with my knees bent a little better, and that's what I like.
I definitely learned something off of that video, and I appreciated that. As a chiropractor, I got to throw this out there for you. Are you aware of your posture when you're out detecting and whatnot? Because I don't know, a lot of injuries can occur when you're out metal detecting, and I just curious how you feel about I don't know, when you're detecting, do you pay attention when you're digging a plug, or does it just the enthusiasm take over?
Well, you know, you really should do a couple of things. One, make sure that your weight is equally balanced. I'll talk about that if you want. Let me see if I think I have one laying around here. Oh, I got one right here. Yeah, when you're walking out in the field, and if you're carrying a backpack, make sure your pack is balanced equally. So don't have it too far to the left, too far to the right. Make sure it's in the center of your spine and it's lower towards the low part of your back. A lot of people get into the habit of having something off to the side, and it throws them off. Then they got that heavy detector, and they're swinging a double D, and they're swinging a large coil opposed to the 11.5, and they're trying to cover a lot of surface area. Believe me, your arm's going to fall off after 2 hours of doing that. I know the feeling, and I prefer to hunt with the regular 11-inch quill, not the big one. I like to go slow, and it saves my arm and my neck. But what Utah just showed was a product that I decided to carry, and it's called the Posture Specific Brace. And what it is, it's an elastic. It's like an elastic brace, and what you do with this elastic brace is you put it over your neck and shoulders. And what the elastic does, it pulls everything back, so it counterbalances all that forward motion or flexion that you're doing during the day. So you can wear this for the length of your hunt. I prefer to use it in intervals because it really undoes all the damage that you're doing, because you're not constantly swinging. You're digging sometimes. Sometimes you're just standing there, you know, looking at your finds and cleaning them. So this will be a good opportunity to put it on. So you put it on the way I showed you, and then it comes off just as quickly as you put it back on. So you put it on from the front, you put it over your head, and it stays locked in, and then you just pop it right off. And I think that's a really great tool. I didn't really, when I started carrying these, I really didn't think, you know, anything about the metal detector guys. But I started using it out in the field in my backpack, and I realized it was a valuable tool for fatigue. And that's really a good thing. And the other thing I tell everybody is carry a good protein shake with you, especially after you get done detecting, because the protein is going to help to build everything back up in muscles that you burn down throughout the day. It's a lot better than the carbohydrates at the end and eating a cheeseburger. You want to eat something that's going to nourish your body and the muscles. So that I find I don't ache at all the next day when I do that.
All right, cool. Yeah, notice your T-shirt. Love the Stealth Diggers, by the way. How did you come up with your name, Stealth Doctor? How'd that come about?
They named me. That's all they're doing. Blame the guys.
That's awesome.
Love them to death, and they gave me the name, and there it is.
That's a great group to be digging with. I'll tell you what. I got to ask you, what was your best find that you've ever made?
This year, I was with my boys on a Sunday. I was digging one of my producing fields. It wasn't giving out anything spectacular, but I was picking a lot of cool buttons and items. You've seen most of the stuff I posted. The Sunday we happened to go out there, my boys were digging and I was kind of hanging back, and I decided to dig some of the deepest signals I could. And I got one strong one, and I was just getting ready to leave, and as I dug the hole, I said, well, let me get my youngest, Drew. He's my 6-year-old. I said, let me show him how to use the pinpointer to search. So he sat down and he started swinging the pinpointer back and forth over the pile. And when he got the hit, I said, now I want you to use your fingers to clear it and see if you can see it. And as his fingers were clearing it, I thought it was a Canadian dime, Canadian quarter, and then it hit the sunlight and it was gold. And I was excited. They didn't know what it was. I said, stop, don't move. And I had to take a breath. I picked it up and I just kind of shook it and blew on it. And it was a 1862 $2.50 gold Liberty.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Yes. So I didn't know anything about it. So the first thing it was funny because the first thing I did was I took a picture and I sent it to Joe DeMarco. I said, what the heck is this? And he's like, oh no, you got a like a Civil War year, $2.50 gold piece. It might be an overdate. And I got all excited. So, obviously me and my wife, and we're looking on the internet like crazy. Oh, look, there's nothing like this on the internet. So we with that date. So we sent it off to get graded because it could have been counterfeit from what we were told by Drew Waholic told us. It could have been counterfeit. So we sent it off through Drew, and it came back AU damaged. So it really didn't have a number for the thing. So to us, it's worth all the effort to find it. It's really not worth anything monetary, but probably weight of gold. But to me, it's probably the best find so far. Yeah.
That is an amazing find. That is definitely a bucket lister for a lot of us. So wow, congratulations. You mentioned your boys. You said they were what, 6 and 8 years old?
6 and 8 years old.
How do you get them involved with your hobby? I mean, 6 and 8 years old, the attention span's got to be pretty small. So how do you keep them out there and get them involved with what you're doing?
Repetition. I try to make it exciting. I started taking them both out there about 2 years ago. My older one was about 6 when the other one was about 5, 4.5, and he just followed around with the big pin pointer, and he really didn't do much. Swung the pin pointer. And my oldest one swung the detector, and he dug some good stuff. I mean, he was digging pennies and stuff. We were going where there was stuff on the surface, but once we started going out in the farm fields, and he really started to dig. And then the little one, just in February and March, we started hitting the fields when they were still pretty cold. But he started digging up railroad spikes left and right, and he got excited. So they were there with me when we found the gold. So I think that right there is always going to stay in their memory. That and I took pictures of them with it, and they've seen it online, and they know what we have. So they were involved in it.
Okay, cool. Got a couple of questions coming up in the chat out there. Good question from Trooper Bry. He wants to know what got you into the health and endurance products. Obviously, you're a chiropractor by trade, but what got you into the health products?
I have a friend out west. He's an older chiropractor, retired, and he knew that I used to do infomercials for different nutritional products. I did a few different things, and he had a friend who had a product that he started up, and he's the guy that actually developed the product. And he contacted me and said, what can you do for me, as far as this product? I don't really know which direction to go. So we got together, and I decided I was going to be, his distributor, and he was going to be the developer. So I ended up being the worldwide distributor of MindFX, and we're trying to get other people to be distributors now, not a multi-level type thing. I mean, you basically, if you have a business or storefront and you want to carry our product, we have a program in place, which probably next year we're going to be offering territories to do the product. But right now, I'm the only one putting anything out there in content and sales, so there's really nothing other than that. But I got the product, and I tried it out in the office, and it clicked with me, because some energy drinks I liked, some I didn't, and they all crashed on me. This didn't crash. It increased blood flow to the brain. It gave me all day mental energy. It didn't give me any heart racing, which is my big issue. I don't have any heart issues, but I never liked to get palpitations, and some of that stuff really did. I gave a lot of samples out to my patients, and my patients are the best resources, because they'll come back and say, I didn't like it, or I didn't like it because, and I didn't get anybody say that. Everybody came back and said, that's really unique. What can we do? Can we buy some? And at the point, I really only had a bunch of like sample packs, and then we started with the cans, and we started with the boxes, and that's when it took off for us. So right now we're changing it again. The product itself's not changing, just the packaging. And right now it's Athena Extreme, MindFX, same product. We're going to be calling it MindFX Pro Performance really soon. So once we're done with the run of all these printed cans that we have, which we're getting to the end of now, it's going to end up with the new name, or the professional name, and that's how I got involved in it. So it's me and somebody else, and it seems to work out really well, and we have a good partnership.
Very good. All right, getting back to some chiropractor-related questions. Galen in the chat room wants to know if there's any exercises or stretches that we can do to make our backs a little stronger, so we don't wear out so fast.
Yeah, your best thing is put your body in the opposite direction in what you're doing every day. You're in forward flexion, you're in bending. Everything you do, you bring to you, or you bring yourself to it. So sitting position is flexed, driving is flexed, working on the computer is flexed. Look at your animals and see what they do in the morning. They get themselves and they stretch an extension. What I tell everybody else to do is grab the doorway and walk into it and stretch your back in the opposite direction and do a little arch, or get yourself a Pilates ball and lay on your back and roll on it and that will help to open up those joints in your spine and your chest. Because if not, everything's going to be forward flexed, and then everything's going to be pulled forward, and then you're going to have neck problems, and your hands are going to go numb and tingle. And the only way to undo that is to go in the opposite direction. So undo it.
That makes sense. Makes perfect sense to me. Got another question out there from Justin at Coins Unwrapped. Wants to know if you've still got that gold coin, and if you do, can you show it to us on the video?
I do have it, but I have it put away, and it's actually in one of my drawers at my office. But I posted it on Stealth Diggers, and it's in the feed. I think it might even be on. No, it's not. It's on the website, is what it is. But I might be able to upload a picture of it to you guys. See what I can do.
I remember seeing it on Stealth Diggers. I remember seeing it posted there, and yeah, it's an amazing coin, man. You should be very proud of yourself and the boys for finding that. Speaking of the boys, do you have any suggestions, since this is kind of a family-friendly chat, do you have any suggestions for getting or keeping kids involved with the hobby?
Keep it light. Don't yell at them. I found myself getting frustrated when they were younger with a lot of things, everything. You know, you want it done your way, but you got to let them do it their way, and they'll like it. Most people will say, well, don't dig there, and don't do this, and don't run around with it. Let them do what they got to do. That's the only way. They'll come around. If they see you enjoying it, they're going to want to do it. If they see you forcing them to want to do it, they're not going to want to do it.
That's excellent advice. Yeah, excellent advice. All right, I got one more decent question for you, and then I'm just going to kind of shoot from the hip after that, Utah. Is there one particular find that got you hooked in this hobby, aside from the gold coin, obviously, but maybe something years ago that kind of really piqued your interest and really got you going?
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't my find. It was Oak Island.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, money, the treasure pit, the money pit. As a kid, I always followed it, and I said, these guys, I just want to do this. I just think it's the neatest thing in the world that they keep digging for something that they haven't found yet, and they know all this history. And in my mind, I thought they were going to find the clue that would give them the answer, and I think that was part of it, is to be involved in something, even in your own world, that you're looking for a treasure, whether it's a coin or a ring or a chain, or then you see the divers. My brother was a professional diver, so he dove wrecks, and he was a big Cousteau fan, and they, you saw Mel Fisher, what he found, and I went to the Mel Fisher Museum as a kid, and you put a piece of gold in your hand like a bar through the glass, and you're holding it and you're saying, wow, this stuff is just laying on the ocean floor. There it is. I mean, you get hooked, you get the bug.
Yeah, exactly. Puts the fever in you, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, Utah, that's all the questions I've got. Sandy, is there anything else in the chat room that I missed?
Okay. Man, you covered a lot of the questions on my list, so I've only got a handful left. I'm going to start with the questions that Diggin' Freedom relayed to me before the show that he would like to see answered. One of them is the slings that they have for metal detectors. A lot of them that you notice online and in videos are the across the neck slings that help hold the weight of the detectors. What is your stance on the slings, and would it be better to have the across the shoulder or across the neck slings or across the body slings?
It all depends. I mean, it depends. If you're right-handed or left-handed, it's just going to take the weight off of your spine. You don't want that. You don't want that arm always constantly stressed holding the detector. If you are using that and you're wearing a Moab 6 backpack, maybe throw it on the other side of your spine to the left when you're swinging on the right. I mean, that's a counterbalance. There's really the front ones are fine too, but then you're going to be in forward flexion all day, which is going to be bent forward, and you don't want to do that either. So, or you can alternate. I find myself sometimes swinging my left arm when my right arm gets tired. It just gives me more time out there.
Very good. I see. I unfortunately I haven't been detecting long enough to know all this, so I'm learning everything along with the other people in the audience that might not be detecting or new to the hobby. Um, Definitely things I'm going to remember though. Um, Frank, if people in the audience doesn't remember, Frank had an injury to his back, and he that's what got him started in metal detecting. Is he noticed that when he's out on his hikes, um, when he started metal detecting, it took his focus off of the hike and the pain, and it was more focused on what he was doing with the detector. So he was able to hike more and get more exercise, and it helped him heal a lot faster. Um, what would you suggest as far as terrain um, and back injuries? Like if somebody has a back injury that they're trying to recuperate from, would you suggest that they start off and stay in parks only, or do they stress that and go towards different terrains?
Yeah, a flat surface would be ideal, and shorter interval hunts would be better so you can build up your endurance or work hardening. You don't want to go out there and start climbing over branches and thickets, and you don't want to do any elevations because you're really gonna put yourself at risk for a further back injury. Your best bet is to get yourself an easy swinging area and close to your vehicle, because if you do hurt yourself, you don't want to be laying out there too far in an uneven terrain with nobody able to get to you. So I would just take it easy until you heal.
Okay. I think going back to the sling thing, Coins Unwrapped had a question in the audience of would a back brace help with the swing of the detector and the forward bending on it all the time.
No, it may help temporarily, but best thing to do if you're going to get out there and swing that detector regularly, you want to build up those muscles that are able to hold that detector up. When you put a belt on and you stabilize that core, you're not using those core muscles anymore. So what happens is they're actually weakening. So when you do take that off and you bend over to pick something small up off the floor, like say a paper towel, you could injure your back even more by not having that abdominal muscle, especially when you're digging and twisting. And you're not going to be able to get down on the ground with a back brace and dig. I mean, I'm not an on my knees short shovel digger like some people are, which I mean it works for them, but for me, I like to use the long handle shovel, and I like to dig my core, pop it, and then get down on one knee and get close, get in, get out. I don't like to be on the ground too long.
Um, I see. I would have never thought about it not using those muscles and never working that. I never would have thought that. Um, he also you mentioned earlier about aquatic um, hunting. Um, are there any therapeutic aspects to aquatic hunting as opposed to land hunting for people that do have minor back injuries? I mean, is it easier on them to do water hunting than it is land hunting, or better for them in any way?
I don't think it's better. I think it's more taxing. I mean, if you've ever been out waist deep in the water with no detector, just trying to keep yourself level with the waves hitting you, small waves, it's a challenge. Now if you got yourself a T-Rex in your one hand and you got a detector in another hand and it's tethered to your head, you got a whole new dynamic available, and then you're balancing while digging and fighting the waves, and there's a lot going on out there. And let me tell you something, I haven't done enough water hunting to really say for sure, you know, fatigue wise, because I don't go out that long. I'll get out there for an hour or 2 hours. But some guys, I mean, you want to talk to the guys that are out there 3, 4, 5 hours at a time, and that it's a fatigue. It's probably worse than being on land, being in the water.
Um, the other questions that I had were more they were less less to do with your profession and more to do with your hobby. What I'm trying to figure out how I want to phrase this. Um, I'll go on to the next one. Do you prefer hunting by yourself more, or with a group, or what's your personal preference on hunting?
Um, I, I like hunting with people. I'm a people person. But there's not too many people you can convert to be, detector guys and gals. I mean, it's like a vampire. You got to stake out your people, and you got to turn them. I've only turned a few people, and when I do get a hold of them, it's great because they always want to come out. But everybody's got a different schedule than me. I have off mornings, and then I like to go out late at night, and my schedules never really mesh with too many people. So I'm always hunting alone. But yeah, I always ask people if they want to come out, which I like. I would love people to come out, but their schedules always don't mesh with mine.
Um, as far as your finds, do you keep all your finds? Do you sell your finds? Do you donate them to, if they're relics, to different places? Do you display them? What do you do with all your finds that you get?
My coins I put in coin wrapper, coin cellophane squares, and I put them in the sheets, put them in a book. I've been teaching my boys to do that with their finds. A lot of my gold and silver I put in Ziploc bags and I throw in a box and keep them. And a lot of my relics, they all end up in bags, and they probably sit on the workbench in my garage for my amusement only. I don't sell anything. Sometimes I'll sell weight if it's a bunch of junk gold and silver. I'll send it off. But most of the time, I like to just keep it. It's just fun to see what you have.
Yeah, keep it, display it for yourself when you want to look at it and go, oh, I remember this. Yeah,
Yeah, the Ziploc bags are my display. I'll pull the bag open and I'll dump it out and I'll sift through it and I'll laugh and then I'll put it back and I won't touch it for 6 months. But that's I'm sure my boys would love to go through my stuff when they get excited, when they start getting into it. But right now they're good with their video games and that's their big thing right now.
I did see a video that you put out the other day with a detector in the water in the swimming pool. What um, what kind of detector do you use now for water hunting?
I have the Excalibur 2 from Mine Lab, and I have the CTX 3030, which you probably saw me in the middle of winter out in some of the local streams working with. Those are what I basically use. Um, they're lightweight, they're easy to use. You can balance them for the different mineralizations. Well, the CTX you can. Um, but they're good for the beach. And my other detectors didn't work like that. I like to get close to the water, especially during low tide. I like to walk in knee deep, and a lot of issues with the other detectors that I had, the whites. But I still use my whites. My son has learned on the whites, so I mean it's a great detector. The whites. I have no preference, and I'll be honest. There are no great detectors. There's only good detectorists.
That's very good information as well. I mean, all the detectors, when I do my researches, they're all pretty much equivalent for their price range. It, you have to know your machine, or you're not going to be able to find anything with it. Period. Um, and if you know your machine better, you're going to find more. Um, the I don't think that I have any more questions. That pretty much answered everything that I wanted to know. Um, except, do you have any more recipes coming out soon on your website? And what
Always.
is your website? I haven't heard you mention that at all yet.
Yeah, World Wide Web, spell out the word doctor, spell my last name, Mainiero, Mainiero. Um, that's that's it. And I have my store on there. You can see all the products I carry. I have my blog, which I do a food blog. I'm working today. I got a whole field full of organic kale that was dropped off to me and by the farmer, and he's standing outside with me, and I'm talking. He goes, "Yeah, you can go out to the field, and there's a bunch of vegetables left out there rotten." And the first thing I asked him was, "Can I detect out there?" And he's like, "Sure." And he says to me, "We dig up some crazy stuff out there. You can see all the stuff that we dig up." And I'm thinking, okay, I'm coming tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to be heading out to this new field tomorrow to go dig vegetables and some good stuff, hopefully.
Awesome. Um, it looks like out in the audience, Trooper Bry wants to know: is John getting the hang of his Moab 6 sling pack?
Yes and no. I mean, there's days where I'm cussing at it because it tends to fall to my side. But there was a day that it saved me because I fell I fell off a small cliff and I landed on the Moab, and it saved me. I would have been damaged pretty bad if the Moab didn't come down on my side when I landed on the concrete. And so I'm not gonna bail on it, but I just have to learn to work with the balance on it.
Um, Tariel, did you have anything else come up after?
I got a couple questions for you, John. There's a lot of different types of metal detectorists out there. There's coin shooters, jewelry hunters, relic hunters. What do you consider yourself to be?
I'm your everyday guy that goes out there, and I mean, I like finding coins. I like finding buttons. That really doesn't matter to me. I mean, just being out there listening to the hum is like Prozac for me. It just, that threshold is what I live for. And when it beeps, it's like somebody knocking on the door saying hello, and I'm excited to see them.
That makes sense to me. Metal detectorists kind of fall. They're kind of like they're like fans of trucks. You're a Dodge guy, you're a Ford guy, you're a Chevy guy. Glad to see you're a Mind Lab guy. I didn't know that going into this tonight, so glad to see that. One more question for you that I had. You see guys that like digging in Virginia, they're using full-size shovels. You see, guys like myself, I use the 31-inch Samson shovel so I can stay on my feet and dig. And then I see the stealth diggers out there with the little 16-inch Samsons that do a nice job for them, but they dig on their knees. And you've got those little lash plug cutters and things like that. What are your thoughts on digging tools and how that might affect your back and your well-being?
That's a good question because when I really got down and dirty and started digging years back, 5, 10 years back, I was using garden shovels, little cheapies, and I was snapping them suckers. I mean, left and right. I went through a lot of different ones, and there wasn't any one that was better. Then I started thinking, well, maybe I should carry a large shovel and the kind you would dig in your yard with, but I was embarrassed to carry anything that big. It freaked me out because I thought, if you're going to go on to public land or anywhere permission, you want to be as low key as possible. So I decided on a trench shovel. So the long nose, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
So it wasn't a wide, and it allowed me to cut a deep plug quickly, so I could pull that plug out like a core, and I usually was on what I needed. And then I started seeing a couple people talk about the Lesh, and I ended up getting the Piranha, and I never looked back. I mean, it's half the size of the full size shovel. It cuts through roots. I'm sure there's a lot of great shovels out there. I'm not knocking any of them, but I spent the money, I bit the bullet, and I almost snapped it one day. I mean, you know your tools, you know your tolerances. When I jump on it to get down in between that frozen permafrost to break that first inch, and you flex back, you almost know when that thing's going to snap. And I was there one day. I came back and it didn't flex. It almost felt like it was going to crack. So I jumped off real quick, and from then forward, I kind of knew what the shovel can do and what it can't do. But it does cut. It cuts. It's a good shovel.
Yeah, those piranhas are an excellent product, and I know exactly what you're talking about when you're pushing it to its limits, especially in the permafrost. But they're an excellent digging tool, but most shovels are not good prying tools.
No, and I'm not a pretty core digger. I mean, when I'm out in the field and everybody, you know, I fill my holes in. Don't get me wrong, but when I'm out in the farm field, I mean, I plant that sucker deep, and I do one big lift, throw it off to the side. I do a second deep lift, not towards the center. I go underneath and try to come up with one more good scoop, and then I hit the pile with the machine, and usually it's out of the hole. Very few times I find it on the inside of all the wall, and when I do, you know, it threw me off for some reason. But I don't make a perfect core and pull it out. Now, if I was digging in someone's yard, I probably would make a nice perfect core, but very few times am I digging in somebody's beautiful yard. I'm out in the middle of the woods. I'm out in the middle of a farm field. I'm on the beach, so what I do is not pretty, but one sweep of the foot and everything is smooth. So I'm not really, you know, concerned about that.
Yeah, it's a different environment when you're either in the woods or the field compared to hunting someone's manicured lawn, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I like hunting people's yards, but I very rarely ask permission for their yards. I always ask permission for behind their barn and, you know, their field because I want the unknown. You know, if you the yard, a lot of times it's what you see typically, and I'm sure there's great things out there, but again, I always feel like I'm going to tear their yard up, and I would be embarrassed if they said don't come back.
You and I are thinking along the same lines, my friend. So thank you very much for that. Utah, I'm all out of questions, buddy.
I just want to know, hey Sandy, does Tom have any questions that he wants to know? No? Golly, we hit all of Tom's questions too. That's a first. Um, all right. Is there any more questions in the external we've missed? Okay. You guys go check out drmainiero.com and check out the Stealth Diggers, and you'll be able to see a lot of his stuff there. If um, if you guys ever are interested in any type of energy drinks, I can personally attest that the Mind FX is great stuff. Um, I really like it simply because it has a good flavor. It does not have any type of crash. It works great, but yet it doesn't give you that fluttery heart feeling, the jitters. Um, there's no Most energy drinks with me, I always get that metallic taste in my mouth from them. This has none of that. There's no aftertaste with it from artificial sweeteners and whatnot. It's really great stuff. I was really surprised by it. So if you if you get if you get to wanting an energy drink, check him out because it's awesome stuff. And this back bracelet you sent me, thank you for that again, by the way. It has helped tremendously in all kinds of things. I haven't been able to use it swinging and detecting yet, but as far as sitting in front of the computer and at work, it's worked great. Um, okay. There is a question that came up in the external. It said, Galen Long would like to know, would it be better to use a post hole digger or shovel when cutting?
A post hole digger?
Yeah, I'm assuming he's meaning the ones where you stab in the ground and pull them out in it.
Oh, heck yeah. And I'll tell you why. Because when I started digging my own backyard up, I found that to be the most effective way to make a perfect circle and then put it back in. And it works. I mean,
Yeah,
I use, but you're not going to, but really, you're not going to carry a post hole digger with you when you're detecting. You know how heavy that thing is? When it's sitting in your backyard and you're walking around, it's nice to lean it up against the side of your house. I only have like a .5 acre. I don't have, you know, 6 or 10 acres. But try dragging that thing around all day along with the detector. You'll change it real soon. But yeah, I have
yeah.
used it, and I thought that was a really great thing to use. Yes, yes.
Um, okay. If there's not anything else, y'all guys go check out his website. You'll find all kinds of amazing products. I think he even has sandals for sale on there for some weird reason. Um, anyway, Tar Heel, anything else before we call it a night?
That's all I've got, Utah. John, it was great to meet you, buddy. Good to talk to you tonight.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and hopefully we could get together again sometime.
Definitely. Hey, Sandy, did you have anything before we stop the live part of the broadcast?
The only thing I really have is I thank the audience for being so well behaved once again. I do appreciate it.
That is awesome, and thank you guys in the audience for coming out. I know I do not interact with the external as much as I'd like to. It's mainly because I'm still getting the hang of doing the live chat. I'm not the best multitasker in the world as far as being able to pay attention and listen to one thing and do something else. Um, I'm a typical, like most women say, a typical man in that aspect. I'm single focused. Um, Anyway, thank you guys in the audience for coming out and joining us. Thank you again, like Sandy said, for behaving yourselves and having a great time. And we're going to get off here, and we'll see you next week.